Hey guys, hope you're doing well. So I'm going to do another one of the problems from this new assignment. I know these problems are kind of long, but don't get overwhelmed. You know all the parts. The new thing is actually a really easy thing that we're adding. The stuff that's harder, you already know how to do. So let's go ahead and look at another problem. I think, why don't we look at number 4? So, similar, number 4, we have a quadratic equation. It's an equation because it has an equal sign. It's quadratic because it has an x squared term and it doesn't have any higher powered terms. So we know when we have a quadratic equation, we'd like to factor and use the zero product property. So again, the new thing today is that this equation is not ready for the zero product property. The problem here is that it's not equal to 0. And the zero product property only works if your equation is equal to 0. So in this case, to make it equal to 0, I'm going to need to get rid of this 6 right here. Let me draw my imaginary line down the middle. Getting rid of positive 6 is easy. We just subtract 6. 6 minus 6 is 0, and that's what we want. Let's just make sure we do it in the right place on the left-hand side. So now, am I going to put the minus 6 under the 3x squared? Well, no, because they don't interact in any meaningful way. The same thing here with the 17x. If you put negative 6 here, when you subtract it, you'd have 17x minus 6, and that's not really very useful. So I want to be careful is, since this is a constant term, I want to place it under my constant term 16. So that's what I have. Now, let's just simplify. 3x squared is not changed. Positive 17x is not changed. But 16 minus 6, that does change, and that changes to 10. On the right-hand side, I now have 6 minus 6, which is 0, and that's what I really wanted, right? I really wanted to have that equal to 0. Now that I do have a quadratic equal to 0, I'm going to go through the rest of my normal steps to factor. A is 3 here, so we know I'm going to be using Xbox. A is not 1, so that's when we have to use Xbox. A is 3, B is 17, and C is 10 after we got rid of that 6. So in my X, I'll have A times C, 3 times 10 is 30 at the top. B is going to be 17 on the bottom. And again, we've been doing these so often now, I bet it's pretty obvious. The numbers here are going to be 2 and 15. Now, of course, that doesn't mean we're done with our factoring. We still need to go ahead and put that in our box. So let's do that. Now, the 3x squared from the original equation goes on the top left. On the bottom right, we're not going to put that 16. Remember, it's not 16 anymore. We now have positive 10, and that's going to be on our bottom right. So make sure we're putting things in the right place. And then the 2 and 15 become 2x and 15x. All right. So let's go ahead and figure out the outside here. To make 3x squared, I'm going to need it 3 times x. So let's put the 3 in front. The reason that, or the 3x in front rather, the reason that makes sense is that it's easy to turn 3 into 15. It would be hard to turn 3 into 2. Not impossible, but just hard. So 3x times x gives me the 3x squared. To make this 2x down here, I'm going to need a positive 2. To make my 15 over here, I'm going to need to multiply by positive 5. And then we check, is 2 times 5 equal to 10? Yes, it is. All right, so I have my factored form. I'm going to write it over here this time. I think I'll have more room here. 3x plus 2 times x plus 5 is equal to 0. And again, now that it's equal to 0, we're allowed to finish it the way we've been doing it using the zero product property. So what do I have? I have one equation, 3x plus 2 equals 0. I have a second equation, x plus 5 equals 0. Now, subtracting 2 from both sides, we've literally been doing since week 1 of school in the fall. 3x equals negative 2. I'll divide both sides by 3 here to get x equals negative 2 over 3. And that will be my first solution. Then I will Subtract 5 for the second equation, and it's only one step equation. X equals -5 is my second solution. So remember, when you hear the word solve, you're not done solving until you've told me what x equals. In the case of a quadratic, most of the time it's going to have two answers, and here are two answers right here. So let's look at the whole problem. So again, I just want to remind you, all of the factoring stuff you should be expert at by now. It's been a couple of weeks on that part. The only thing that's new here is really that subtracting 6. And again, that's just our normal solving rules. As long as you do the same thing to both sides, you're okay. If we subtract 6 from one side, we can do that as long as we're subtracting it from the other side. All right, that is all.